Morning, class. Thanks for being here and thanks for having me. We're going to look at Mark chapter 10, starting with verse 32 and going through verse 45 this morning. And again, if you haven't read it yet, take time, pause the video, and go read it. All right, there's two things that I really want to sort of point your attention at while you look at the scriptures this week. First is in verse 32. It says that they were on their way to Jerusalem, Jesus leading the way. Disciples were astonished, and those who followed, the rest of the crowd, they were afraid. And I give you an opportunity to sort of wrestle with that we have the disciples who are like, really? Is that what you're going to do? And the rest of the crowd is like freaking out. You know, I mean, they're afraid. And you may want to just sort of discuss, what do you think that's about? Obviously, then Jesus immediately allays their fears and tells them everything's all right, everything's fine, it's cool, and the ointment's sweet for the fire in your head and feet. Okay, Jesus Christ Superstar reference for those of you who have no clue what I'm talking about. So you've got that, you know. Jesus sort of like says, yep, it's going to be horrible. Which brings us to the second piece, and how the apostles, or at least two of the apostles, and ultimately all 12 of them, respond. James and John get in there. You saw that already. And it's like a 2-year-old. Daddy, will you say yes? Daddy? Daddy? And, you know, well, what do you want me to do? I want you to say yes first, and then I'll tell you what I want. It's like, really? So they start off that way. They ask their question, and Jesus responds. What I want you to look at or consider is down there in verse 42. Where Jesus talks about the rulers of the Gentiles, how they lorded over them. And then there's another level. Here's the Gentile lords, if you will, or Gentile leaders. And they're lording it over, you know how great we are. And then we got this other level. And that the high officials exercise authority over them. It's sort of like, you know, water runs downhill. That's what I meant, is water runs downhill. And so, you know, we have this very different understanding or the way things go. So there's some things to talk about, to look at. You may want to consider as you talk about the Gentiles, how is it Jesus points to the Gentiles but not the Jews? Because surely they had a similar system. Or did they? Was Jesus pointing out that the Romans are the top dogs and the Jews sort of fall off? All right, there you are. Hope it's helpful. I'll see you next week.